We finished chapter 2, which was A Dangerous Journey, but that may or may not have been like 3 months ago, which a little bit embarrassing that it took me so long to pick it up again. But I'm not going to judge myself for this, because I think it's better to read it late than to just give up on reading it. We're going to normalize reading very, very slowly. It might take me a year to read this. That's fine. Okay? That or everyone's going to be like, that's some copium right there. But anyway, we finished chapter 2. I will summarize it because it has been 3 months. So, or maybe you just haven't seen the last video, which is fine. I'll try to summarize it. So in the first book, we start off with Athena. She's like, oh my god, Odysseus is trapped by Calypso. Crazy Calypso. So she goes down to Telemachus and she pretends to be a guy and is like, you need to go get your dad because he's in trouble. And Telemachus is like, yeah, I do need to get my dad. And then he sneaks away from the suitors. And then yeah, that's pretty much what happens. If you want a better, more in-depth half-an-hour video on the first 2 chapters, you can watch that. But that's the recap. So now it's book 3. An Old King Remembers. So Telemachus snuck out with his men to go to Pylos to talk to King Nestor, because that's, I think, who Athena told him to go to. Yeah, Telemachus arrives in Pylos, and then Athena is disguised as Mentor, I think, or Mentes. I don't remember. I'm sorry, okay? I will tell you in like a little text if it's Athena. Actually, I can check now. Okay, Athena's Mentor. So Athena disguises. I don't think it makes a difference, but just so we know. Athena's like, don't be shy, Telemachus. You sailed over the sea to ask about your father. Hurry now to Nestor, lord of horses. And then Telemachus goes, but Mentor... Oh, it was in the next line. I didn't even need to check. But Mentor, how can I approach and talk to him? I am quite inexperienced at making speeches, and as a young man, I feel quite awkward talking to elders. So Telemachus, Athena's encouraging him. Telemachus has social anxiety, so it's nice to see that they even had social anxiety 3,000 years ago. That's actually something that that's like a not social anxiety itself, but like we'll get to it. You can look forward to that. And then she looks into his eyes and she goes, you will work out what to do. Through your own wits and with divine assistance, the gods have blessed you in your life so far. So Athena's encouraging him, being like, you can do it, Telemachus. So they reach the center of town where Nestor was sitting with his sons and his companions. And then at the start of the meal, they start praying to Poseidon, which Athena is impressed by. They're impressed by the manners. And then once they're done sitting down, talking about the meal, Nestor starts asking questions about who are you, where did you come from, what's your mission, which seems to be like the custom that whoever comes to you have to feed them and then you can ask questions. Because Nestor is like, are you on business or just scouting around like pirates on the sea who risk their lives to ravage foreign homes? So man doesn't even know if they're gonna ravage him after this. But that's the pattern I've noticed. And then Telemachus tells him where he's from. He's like, I'm from Ithaca. I'm here to ask about my father. And he's like, Zeus still keeps Odysseus' fate in darkness. No one knows where he was lost. I beg you, tell me, did you see him die with your own eyes, or have you any news about where he may be? Because Nestor was in the Trojan War with Odysseus. I should have probably said that before. He's not just going to random people. He's going to Nestor because he was at the Trojan War with Odysseus. Then Nestor starts recounting the Trojan War. This part I kind of zoned out a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot going on. They have like these very info dumpy sections, which are a lot for me to process because there's a lot of stuff at once, so I don't really know what's going on. But I did underline Achilles. There lies his godlike friend and guide, Patroclus, and just because I like to annotate as I go along, and I just wrote down and they were godlike friends. And they were godlike friends. Historians will call them godlike friends. Okay, but he recounts the Trojan War, and then he's still talking to Telemachus. And he's like, I am amazed at how you talk like him being Odysseus. One would not think so young a man could do it, which ties back to when Telemachus was like, I'm young, it's quite hard for me to talk to elders. And he was worried about it, but with Athena's encouragement, he could do it, which is great. What I said last time, Telemachus' arc seems to be about improving his self-esteem and his confidence, and kind of his story is kind of like a coming-of-age story, I think, where he's learning to grow up and take more responsibility and I guess stand up for himself, which is something he wouldn't have been able to do, obviously, growing up with the suitors and everything. But it's really cool seeing him do this. So Nestor starts talking about coming back from the Trojan War. Zeus planned a bitter journey home for us, since some of us had neither sense nor morals. Grey-eyed Athena, daughter of the thunder, became enraged and brought about disaster. So they couldn't get back because of Athena? Which, interesting, considering Athena's at the dinner table trying to help Odysseus get back. I don't really understand why she did that. I don't know if we know why she did that. That makes me a little bit sus of Athena. Just like, what's going on? I didn't know about this. And then there was like an argument or something. They sacrificed stuff for Zeus and stuff. I know what's going on. I'm lying. I don't. But okay, basically, Nestor ran away. Nestor ran away and left the rest of the fleets behind. That's what happened. Why? I have no idea, because I don't really understand what's happening. But that's what happened. Peak analysis. Then he's like, so, my dear boy, I have no news about what happened next. I do not know which of them has died and who is safe. But I see that you are tall and strong. Be brave, so you will be remembered. Which, what did I underline here? I wrote something down. Which, this whole making a name for yourself and being remembered seems to be a very... Is poignant the right... I don't know what poignant means, but that feels like the right way to use it in a sentence. I forgot what the sentence was. What I'm trying to say is this whole theme of being remembered, making a name for yourself, being remembered past your generations. Ow. Okay. Being remembered past your generations. It seems like a whole big theme in these epics, which makes sense considering it's a poem passed down for 3,000 years. Like, as you're passing it down, probably the theme of passing it down kind of sticks more, because you're talking about these great legends, like, oh, you can be like these great legends. I don't know, there's a point in there somewhere. I just can't articulate it, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. And then he says, I have been told about your mother's suitors, how badly they are treating you at home. But do you willingly submit to it, or has a god's voice led the townspeople to hate you? And then he goes, if only Athena loved you, like she used to care for glorious Odysseus at Troy when we were doing badly. If she helped you with that much love, the suitors would forget their hopes for marriage. Just, again, funny with Athena sitting at the dinner table like, if only Athena loved you, gosh darn. And then Telemachus replies, my lord, I doubt that this will happen. I am surprised you have such confidence. I would not be so hopeful even if the gods were willing. And then Athena is like, Telemachus, what do you mean? I'm still a bit confused about what Athena's deal is. Like, I don't know if it's meant to be a mystery or if I just don't understand what's going on. Could be either. Again, I'm just reading this. I just bought this at my local bookstore and was like, I can do it. I have no qualifications. Okay, but anyway, Athena's like, what do you mean, Telemachus? The gods can save anyone at will, no matter what the distance. Which, now I'm like, okay, well, if you can save anyone at will, then why is Odysseus still trapped then, Athena? Just save him at will. Like, I don't understand. But then she says, but death is universal. Even gods cannot protect the people that they love when fate and cruel death catch up with them. which I underlined because it seemed important, but I don't really know what the relevance is. And then Telemachus says, Mentes, this is upsetting, changes the subject, which confused me, because I thought this was mentor? I thought she was pretending to be mentor, but now he's calling her Mentes. But he's telling her to shut up, which... okay. And then he goes, let me ask Nestor something else. He is wiser and more informed than anyone else. And I'm like, bro, you're sitting next to the goddess of wisdom. You're telling me this guy is wiser than the goddess of wisdom? Like, Telemachus, be for real. I mean, I don't think he knows that it's Athena, but, like, still. And then they talk about something else. Okay, so Nestor tells a story, and I don't really get the story, because it's, like, a massive paragraph. But he says the moral of the story, whatever the story is, you must not stay away too long, dear boy, when those proud suitors lurk inside your house. They may divide your wealth among themselves and make your journey useless. But I suggest you go to Menelaus, who's another guy from the Trojan War. My sons can guide you all the way to Sparta, to Menelaus. Ask him for the truth. He will not lie. He is an honest man. So that's what they decided the plan is. And they were trying to go to bed to, on their ship. But then Nestor was offended. He was like, Zeus forbids it, and all the other gods who live forever. You cannot leave my house for your swift ship, as if I were a poor and ragged man. The darling son of great Odysseus must not sleep on the ship's deck while I live. So he's offended, because they accidentally called him poor. And then Athena went, okay, Telemachus can sleep with you. Not like that. Telemachus can sleep in your house. And then she turned into a bird to shut everyone up. He just turns into a bird. He's like, Telemachus can sleep with you. And she leaves. And then everyone's like, oh my god. And then all the people are watching, even Nestor. He sees Telemachus' hand and said, dear boy, I am now sure you will be remembered, since the gods are on your side at such a young age. This was a god, none other than great Athena, true-born child of Zeus. And then everyone's impressed with Athena coming here. I got thrown off because my partner came back, and now I'm embarrassed because I'm recording a YouTube video. I'm embarrassed. Babe, if you're watching this is all your fault. Now I'm gonna whisper so he doesn't know. Okay, what happens next? And then they do sacrifices to Athena. And then it's morning, and then they set off. Then one of Nestor's sons goes with Telemachus, and they go to Menelaus' house. And then it's chapter 4. So, I'll see you next time for chapter 4. Okay, so we're on book 4, What the Sea God Said. I've already made a video of this. I ranted for like an hour and a half, and then my phone decided to update, and I don't have it anymore. So I received a sign from the gods while I was talking about the Odyssey, and the sign was to shut the fuck up. We can do it again. I'll try not to make such a massive one this time. Maybe it will spare me. So last time we left off with Telemachus and Pisistratus, who is Nestor's son, going to find Menelaus, because that's what Nestor said to do, because he's like, he might know something, because Menelaus was also in the Trojan War, so they're like, maybe he would know. So they go to Sparta, and they find him hosting a wedding feast for one of his sons. They come in, and then the guard at first doesn't want to let them in, but Menelaus is like, you fool. Whenever we went off to travels, we were hosted, so we're gonna host these people. And then they walk into Menelaus' palace, guided by the guard, I think. And then Telemachus turns to Pisistratus, and he's like, do you see how these echoing halls are shining bright with bronze and silver, gold, and ivory and amber? It is as full of riches as the palace of Zeus on Mount Olympus. I am struck with awe. And then so he's basically like, oh my god, this is the richest guy I've ever seen. But Menelaus overhears him, and then he's like, no mortal, my dear boys, can rival Zeus. His halls and home and property are deathless. Some man may match my wealth, or maybe not. I suffered for it. I was lost adrift at sea for 8 long years. I passed through Cyprus, Phoenicia, Egypt, so many places. You went to so many places. Mr. Worldwide, Menelaus. But while I wandered there accumulating wealth, someone crept in and killed my brother. His own scheming wife betrayed him. I can take no joy in all my wealth. Whoever they may be, your fathers surely have told you how much I suffered. But little does Menelaus know. Telemachus is fatherless. And then he keeps going. I wish I had stayed there with just 1/3 of all the treasure I have now acquired, if those who died at Troy, so far away from Argive pastures, were alive and well. I sit here in my palace, mourning all who died, often weeping. Sometimes tears bring comfort to my heart, but not for long. Cold grief grows sickening. I miss them all, but one man the most, when I remember him, Odysseus. We do not even know if he is still alive. His faithful wife and old Laertes must grieve for him, and young Telemachus, who was only a newborn when he went away. And then Telemachus hears this, obviously, he's like, I'm Telemachus, that's my dad, I'm grieving, so then he wants to cry. He lifts up his cloak to hide his eyes, but basically, we should probably talk about Menelaus first. So, like, the sort of impression I'm getting of Menelaus right now is he's, like, this old, wise guy. It's, like, a very old, wise guy. He's, like, he's got all of the riches from the Trojan War, and I don't know. And then, yeah, so Telemachus, these words roused in the boy a desperate need to mourn his father. Tears rolled down his face and splashed down on the ground. He lifted up his cloak to hide his eyes, but Menelaus noticed and wondered whether he should wait until the boy first spoke about his father. So, obviously Menelaus and Odysseus seem to be very close from the way he's speaking about him. And then after that, Helen comes in, who, if you remember Helen, she's like the cause of the Trojan War. She went off, I believe, with Paris? She went off with Paris or got kidnapped or something like that. Or fell in love with him. I don't exactly remember. But, she's like the cause of the Trojan War. The point was to go get Helen back. So yeah, Helen comes in. And then she's like, do we know who these men are, Menelaus, who have arrived in our house? Shall I conceal my thoughts or speak? I feel compelled to say the sight of them amazes me. I never saw two people so alike as this boy and Telemachus, the son of spirited Odysseus, the child he left behind, a little newborn baby, the day the Greeks marched off to Troy, their minds fixated on war and violence. They made my face the cause that hounded them. Which, I read that line, and like that just makes it sound like she didn't want to go with Paris. I don't know why I thought she wanted to go with Paris. It's very sad, because I guess I never really thought about it from like Helen's perspective, to be like the person who causes all that war, because I don't know why I had this image of Helen in my head as like this evil lady who just, I guess, wanted to sleep with Paris and cheat on her husband and didn't really care. But this chapter just makes me feel a lot for her. This chapter makes me feel a lot. This chapter is very like this is probably my favorite chapter so far. Oh yeah, then Menelaus is like, wife, I saw the likeness too. Odysseus had hands like those legs, that hair, that head, that glancing gaze. Odysseus had hands like those legs, that hair, that head, that glancing gaze. No, okay, listen. There's nothing wrong with complimenting the homies and remembering exactly how they look like, every detail on their face. I'm sure they were just very, very good friends. One could say they were godlike friends. Then Pisistratus starts speaking. King Menelaus, you are right. This truly is his son. But he is shy and feels he should not speak too boldly in your presence right away. He's like, yeah, that is your godlike friend's son. He just has social anxiety and doesn't want to talk to you, right, Telemachus? Like, I'm just imagining Telemachus just being there like, Pisistratus, what the fuck? But yeah, he's just like, yeah, this is Telemachus, he's just shy. Oh yeah, and then he goes, he has no man at home to help him. So he's like, he has social anxiety and he is fatherless. So like, that's how we're gonna introduce Telemachus. And then Menelaus goes, so the son of my dear friend, who worked so hard for me, has come here to my house. And then he starts recounting his time together with Odysseus. He's like, we would constantly spend time together. Nothing would have divided us in love and joy, till death's dark cloud surrounded us. But I suppose the god begrudged our friendship and kept that poor unlucky man from home. Which, okay, all the gay jokes aside, it is really nice to Like, their friendship seems really cute and, like, so close. Yeah, look at these bros declaring love to each other. It's beautiful. His words made everybody want to cry. Helen was weeping, as was Menelaus. Pisistratus's eyes were full of tears. Something I did notice in the Odyssey in general is how much people cry. Like, also, like, especially men also cry, which I don't really know why that's, like, a thing that I'm noticing, but it's, like, it's so openly. I guess it's just nice to see that you've got these massive ancient Greek legendary warriors just crying and just being human, I guess. It's nice to see these people humanized. It's nice to see that they're just showing emotion. Like, these days, like, the ideal man is, like, emotionless, you know, massive warrior guy. Like, I feel like men are often like, oh, we want to be like men back then and strong like men back then. Meanwhile, men back then are crying after talking about some guy they knew 10 years ago. It's like, not some guy they knew, not some guy they knew. I guess it's nice to see, because I don't feel like you see it that often. Like, whenever in books people cry, it's like especially men cry, it feels like it's like this massive deal that, like, oh my god, this character finally opened up after this whole book of being closed off. Here people just do it as naturally, like, when they feel it, you know? It's like, men always cried, men always had emotions, like, who took that from you, you know? Like, people compare themselves to, like, the warriors of the old times and how they were, and that's how you should be. And then, meanwhile, the ancient warriors are just sobbing at the dinner table. Okay, but then they're all crying. They're all sad. They're all crying. And then, this is an exact quote, okay? Then the child of Zeus, Helen, decides she would mix wine with drugs. So they're just getting high right now. They're just getting high right now. Helen had these powerful magic drugs from Egypt. Oh my god. I read this at like 1 a.m. and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Okay, and then Helen wants to doing drugs, I guess. Helen is like, now that we're doing drugs, I guess we can talk a bit more about Odysseus. She starts talking a little bit about how, like, some of the strategies Odysseus had at war. So at some point, he beat himself and bruised his body badly and put a ragged cloak on, like a slave, then shuffled through the enemy city streets. In his disguise, he seemed like a poor old beggar, hardly a man to sail with the Archaeans. And then he snuck through Troy like that, and nobody knew it was him except for Helen. But I washed and scrubbed him with oil and dressed him, and I swore an oath that I would not reveal him to the Trojans before he had got back to his own camp. He told me all the things the Greeks were planning. On his way back, he used his long bronze sword to slaughter many Trojans, and he brought useful intelligence to tell the Greeks. I was glad. By then I wanted to go home. I wished that Aphrodite had not made me go crazy, when she took me from my country and made me leave my daughter in the bed I shared with my fine, handsome, clever husband. Which, we'll talk about that line in a minute. And Menelaus just goes, yes, wife, quite right. Yes, wife, quite right. I am handsome and But, that aside, it's very sad because before I read this, I didn't realize that, like, I don't know, I guess I just never thought about Helen from that perspective of, what she must have felt. I don't know why I had it in my head that she was evil. But, like, it's so sad because it also seems that Aphrodite has made her want to go to Troy. And it's like, it's just something she seems to have had zero agency in. Like, she took me from my country and made me leave my daughter in the bed I shared with my husband. Well, that's so sad. And I'm also noticing just, like, how much the gods are, like, meddling in human affairs. Because, like, almost every single thing that has happened has been, like, at the root caused by some god doing something. Like, even Odysseus not being able to get back, that's Zeus, Poseidon, Calypso, Aeolus, Aeolus, I don't remember her name. Great wind god Aeolus. Circe. Here we've got Aphrodite making Helen crazy by her words. I don't know, it's like constantly, all these people can ever do is pray and hope and I guess do sacrifices, but sometimes that's not even enough for the gods to maybe sway to what they want. But they're just battling these like uncontrollable forces that can come in and just ruin everyone's lives immediately, you know? Because Aphrodite is also the goddess of love, so maybe Aphrodite made Helen love Paris, but like in an artificial way, so she'd want to leave. Like, why did she do that? I don't know. I've got a copy of the Iliad back there to read after this. I wanted to read the Odyssey, but now I'm really interested to see what actually happened with Helen. But yeah, then Menelaus goes, "Yes, wife, quite right. I have been around the world, and I have met many heroic men and known their minds. I never saw a man so resolute as that Odysseus. How tough he was, and what impressive fortitude he showed inside that wooden horse." And listen, they're just godlike friends. They're just godlike friends. And then he's talking to Helen, right? So he's just simping over Odysseus to his wife, which pop-off king, I guess. And then he's still talking to Helen. "Some spirit who desired to glorify the Trojans urged you on." So even Menelaus seems to not really blame Helen with these words, because like some spirit urged you. So I'm glad that Menelaus seems to not blame her and has forgiven her, because Helen does genuinely seem really upset and like this has just happened to her instead of it was like something she wanted to do. I'm glad for that. Like they still seem to be pretty close. And then he keeps talking to Helen. "3 times you went around the hollow belly of the wooden horse, touching the hiding place and calling on us Greeks by name. You put on different voices for each man's wives. Then I and Diomedes and good Odysseus inside the horse heard you call out to us, and we too wanted to go out to answer from in there, but Odysseus prevented us from going. He saved us all until Athena led you far away." This just really makes me want to read the Iliad now. But we'll finish this first. But yeah, it's very interesting, also without like the context of, I don't know, maybe I should have read the Iliad first, but also I wanted to read it by this translator, because I really like how she translated it. It's very accessible to me. So again, I do recommend this version. But this only came out like recently. I got it when it came out. Just to have it. Hold on, I'll get it for you. I got like the cool pretty edition. I didn't get the student one because the student one doesn't exist yet, I don't think. Yeah, look how pretty it is. Whoa. It's got like, I thought this was a printing error, but I think it's a feature that it looks like all rippled up. Because the Odyssey version also had this, I think, so. But yeah, it is massive. It is massive, like. But I am looking forward to reading it, because it, like, especially after reading this, because I'm like, what the fuck happened, man? But anyway, yeah, so they're telling the story of Odysseus. We're shown more how clever he is. But yeah, also the Menelaus, again, like, saying some spirit, that kind of also implies, like, some sort of godlike interference. So maybe it was Aphrodite? I'm not sure. I know that Aphrodite is, like, also classed as, like, a war god, so I do see Aphrodite doing this. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. And yeah, so they've finished recounting Odysseus and everything. And then Telemachus replied, "But this makes it all worse. My father's courage could not save his life." And then he goes, "So now I want to go to bed. We need the comfort of being lulled into a sweet, deep sleep." So then they go to bed. And then they wake up. Then they wake up again. And Menelaus sees him in, like, the hallway, I think. And they're talking alone now. And then he goes, "What need has brought you here, Telemachus, to Sparta over such expansive sea? Private or public business? Tell me truly." Then Telemachus inhaled, remember, he still has anxiety, and then replied. And basically he's saying, like, I'm from Ithaca, I'm here in search of my father, and news about my father. So I am begging you, here on my knees, tell me the dreadful news if he is dead. Perhaps you saw it with your eyes, or heard tales of his travels. Please do not try to sweeten the bitter news from pity. Tell me truly if you saw him and how he was. If my heroic father ever helped you at Troy when things were bad, keep that in mind right now and tell the truth. And then he also tells him about, like, the suitors and what's going on with that. And then Menelaus gets really mad. He's like, damn those suitors. Those cowards want to steal the bed of one whose heart is braver than their own. Godlike friends. Peak analysis. I'm just calling these people gay. He goes, so may Odysseus attack these suitors. May all their lives be brief, their weddings cursed. As for your question, I will not deceive you. I will not hide a single word I heard from that old seagull Proteus. And hide not a single word he does. Look at this. There's no paragraph breaks. There's no paragraph breaks. There's one like, man just keeps talking and talking. I'm gonna try to summarize it because it's a lot, but I'll try to summarize it for you. So, on his way back away from Egypt, the gods stopped him because they stopped, like, the wind going on the sails. So, like, there was no wind on the sea. So, he couldn't use the sails. So he, like... Yeah, so they couldn't move the ship. And then he found some goddess in the sea. And then he tells her, please explain which spirit is blocking me from going home across the teeming sea. Gods must know everything. And then she says there's this guy called Proteus who's an Egyptian sea god, I think, and serves Poseidon. If you can somehow lie in wait and catch him, he will explain how you can get back home. So they catch that god. He's like a shapeshifter, so they have to, like, hold him down through all of his transformations, and then when he gets tired, then he'll answer the question. And then once they do that, once they trap Proteus, he's like, you should have given Zeus and other gods fine offerings to speed your journey home. It is your fate not to go home or see the ones you love until you go again to Egypt's river, watered by Zeus, and kill 100 cows, to please the deathless gods who live in heaven. So basically, Zeus was like, you didn't sacrifice enough cows, so I guess all of your fleet dies. Like classic Zeus behavior, but still. And then he felt heartbroken, but went to Egypt anyway. But then while he has the chance to ask the gods a question, he's like, did all the Greeks sail safely home by ship, whom Nestor and myself left there in Troy? Because I think Menelaus and Nestor were, like, the first two fleets to, like, run away or something. I don't really understand what's going on, but I know that they were the first two to escape. And then he goes, oh, son of Atreus, why ask me this? You have no need to know or learn my mind. When I have told you, you will not be long able to hold back tears, which is a good start. So to summarize, a bunch of people died. It's a massive paragraph. A bunch of people died. I'm sorry, it's just really hard for me. Sometimes they have these, like, massive info dumpy sections. It's really hard. But basically, Agamemnon died. Augustus killed him over dinner, just as a person kills an ox at manga. Basically, a bunch of people from the fleets died. And the story broke Nestor's heart. And he sat down upon the sands and wept. I did not want to go on living or to see the sun. I thrashed around and wailed. When I was done, the old sea god spoke words of truth to me. Now, son of Atreus, your endless weeping has gone on long enough. It does no good. Quickly, go home. And then he says, maybe you can find the guy who killed your buddy Agamemnon. You may still find Odysseus alive, or else this other guy may have killed him. And you can join his funeral. Doesn't that sound great? You can either kill him or you can go and party at his funeral. Come on, man. Stop crying. Come on. Then he goes, these words made me a man again. My heart warmed inside despite my grief. My words took wings. I said, I know now of those two, but name the third who may still be alive, trapped somewhere in the wide expanse of sea, or maybe dead. I know the news may hurt, but I want to hear it. And he's asking about Odysseus. And then the god said, it is Laertes' son, the Ithacan. I saw him crying, shedding floods of tears upon Calypso's island in her chambers. She traps him there, he cannot go back home. But Menelaus, it is not your fate to die in our... me when I get overstimulated at the supermarket. Yeah, they went back to Egypt then, sacrificed some oxen for the gods. The gods were happy. He built a mound to honor Agamemnon. And then the gods gave him fair wind and sent him quickly home. And then he finishes his story. He's like, that's what happened. And then he's like, but come now, stay with me in my palace, Telemachus, until 11 or 12 days have passed. I will send you off with precious gifts, 3 horses and a gleaming chariot. But Telemachus says, please do not keep me here so long, my lord. Indeed, I would be glad to stay a year. I would not even miss my home or parents. I get such pleasure listening to you. But my poor friends are surely tired of waiting in Pylos. You have made me stay too long. Yeah, as much as he liked to stay with Menelaus, he needs to go. He's very focused on his mission of finding his father. Which makes sense, but I think it's also... I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, but it also feels like before, Pisistratus was like, yeah, he has no man at home. He has no one to support him, no one to encourage him, and like, he's got Menelaus here giving him all that and telling him all these stories and everything. And like, obviously Menelaus is kind of attached to him by extension of being attached to Odysseus. So he could stay. But, no, he's focused on finding Odysseus. And then also he starts saying, keep your lovely horses here. I cannot transport them all the way to Ithaca. You rule these open meadows rich in clover, wide barley and wide rows, and wheat and grass. In Ithaca there are no fields or racetracks. Though it is only fit for goats, we love it more than horse pasture. Islands out at sea have no good grazing, ours least of all. Which, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into this too much. But, you know, Menelaus is offering him to stay with him and to have the man of the house talk to him all the time. And like this break from his constant sort of fighting with the suitors and just trying to get by in his house. But when offered that, he's saying, I need to keep going on my mission. And even with like the gifts, he's still, you know, I don't know, I think it is relevant in some way that he's thinking about Ithaca. And even though it's like worse off, I guess, like he's saying it's only fit for goats. Like he's saying all these negative things about Ithaca, but he still loves it. He still cares about it. Which, I don't know, I'm trying to articulate something, but there's the puzzle pieces. Hopefully you can put them together, because I can't. Then Menelaus smiled and clasped his hand, and spoke to him in his loud booming voice. My boy, your words are proof of your good blood. I will give different gifts, just as you ask. And then we cut to Odysseus' house, and the suitors find out that Telemachus is gone, because he borrowed the ship that he sailed on from one of them, and only that guy knew. But then he goes to Antonius and is like, hey, do you know when Telemachus is coming back? Because I need my ship. And then everyone's like, Telemachus left? And then they get really mad because they're like, we didn't think Telemachus would have gone anywhere. We thought we intimidated him too hard. So then they're like, right, we're gonna kill this kid. But yeah, but then like one of the servants overheard like their whole plan, and he goes to Penelope. And then Penelope thinks that the boy was sent by the suitors to like them requesting something. She's like, well boy, why have those lordly suitors sent you? You suitors who come crowding here are wasting Telemachus' wealth. When you were younger, you never paid attention to your fathers who told you of Odysseus' greatness. He never spoke or acted without justice among the people. Lords are mostly biased. They favor one person and hate another, but he did not. He did no wrong at all. Now your wicked deeds and plans are clear. No gratitude for favors from the past. Which poor Penelope, because like she's not really in the position to be able to stand up for herself. But yeah, we also learn a lot about how Odysseus is ruled. Like I think before I think Athena said he ruled like a father or something like that. Like cared about the people and he treated everyone equally. And we've got all of these unjust suitors not caring for what Penelope wants, trying to marry her. And it's also really sad because you'd expect you do good things, you get good things back, but it seems Odysseus wants to be good and treat people well and to care about people, but he is not rewarded for it at all. Which is also like the theme in the musical. I haven't really talked about the musical in this video. I've mostly just been focusing on this because I don't think this much of this first bit is covered in the musical anyway. Maybe in the Wisdom Saga, because that did come out now. But definitely in the musical, it's like a whole theme of Odysseus slowly losing his humanity because of his humanity, like his humanity and care for the people around him. he notices that that is causing them to be hurt more. So he slowly and slowly makes more harsh decisions and becomes more and more ruthless. Which, like, obviously we didn't get to even Odysseus is in the book yet, but I know that there's, like, a theme later on with, this is how they remember Odysseus. But then, even at this point, actually, because he's on Calypso's island now, like, at this point, Odysseus has made a lot of really difficult decisions and really bad decisions. He is not the same person he was 20 years ago. So, yeah, I'm really waiting to see how the reunion with Penelope happens. But yeah, anyway, then the boy is like, "My queen, I wish this were the worst of it. Now they are plotting even greater ruin. The suitors want to kill Telemachus. He went to sandy Pylos in Sparta for word about his father. And then at the news, her legs grew weak, her heart sank, she was struck dumb for a time, her voice blocked as her eyes filled up with tears. But why did my son go away?" This is just heartbreaking. Because it's like, this is, like, she just found out that Telemachus is gone, and at the same time she's finding out the suitors want to kill him. And he's gone away the exact same way Odysseus has gone away. He's going in the same direction to talk, like... Oh my god. And then the boy says, "Perhaps some god or his own heart nudged him to go to Pylos to find out about his father, if he will come back home, or if he has already met his fate." And then he leaves. And then she starts talking to, like, her women in her room. And he's like, "Friends, listen. Zeus has cursed me more than all the women in my family. Already I lost my noble lion-hearted husband, most talented and brave of all the Greeks. And now the winds have taken my dear son, and no one told me he was setting out. Shame on you all." And then, remember from last time, there was the slave nanny person who, Telemachus said to not, tell Penelope that he's leaving, but helped him prepare? Like, she basically says that's what happened. "He made me swear an oath not to inform you till 12 days have passed, or till you heard about it and you missed him." And then she goes, "Now have a bath, get changed into clean clothes. Go with your slave girls upstairs to your room. Pray to Athena, child of Zeus the king. She may save him from death. I do not think the blessed gods despise this family. I trust that there will always be one to rule this house and rich estate." Oh yeah, but then Penelope starts praying to Athena, and then she goes, "Save the son I love, protect him from the abuses of those suitors." And then we cut back to the suitors, and then the suitors are basically like, I think they're also sneaking out. Yeah, they're sneaking out with a ship, so nobody else in the house knows. And then Athena, bright-eyed goddess, had a plan. She made a phantom looking like a woman. She sent it to Odysseus' house to make Penelope feel less distressed. And the phantom looks like Penelope's sister. And then she's like, "Sister, why have you come? Your house is so far. You have never visited before." And then she starts talking about Telemachus. And she says, "He knows nothing of hardship and the world. He is a child. I worry for him more than his father. He has so many enemies. They plan to murder him before he reaches home." And then the phantom says, "He has a goddess as his guide, Athena, a helper many men have prayed to have. She has great power. Pitying your grief, she sent me here to tell you all this." And then Penelope is like, "Tell me about my husband too. Tell me if he is alive and sees the sun, or dead already in the house of Hades." And the spirit said, "I cannot tell you whether he is alive or dead. It is not good to speak of things as intangible as the wind." Which, I don't know why the spirit didn't just tell her that Odysseus is still alive, like he's trapped on Calypso's island. But, I mean, I don't know if that would upset Penelope more to know that her husband is stuck with Calypso, who just wants to make him her husband. Yeah, actually, maybe... Actually, maybe she can find that out once her husband is back. I don't think that would soothe her, and it would just... I'm not sure. But also, she kind of has the right to know. I don't know. But yeah, then it ends with the suitors got on board and sailed across the water, set on murdering the boy. And then it's book 5. From the Goddess to the Storm, and this is the book where Odysseus is! Whoa! But that's for next time, because I've been talking for an hour again. I don't really know what else to say other than what I already said. But chapter 4 is definitely my favorite so far. We learn a lot about Odysseus. I really like Menelaus, he's cool. I learned a lot about Helen, even though she didn't really have that many things to say, but she had like enough for me to be very interested. It's very sad. Everything in this chapter is just very sad, and maybe that's why I like it. I like how gay Menelaus seems to be for Odysseus. I mean, godlike friends, they're godlike friends. I like the part when they're doing drugs. It was interesting. I do wonder where they're gonna go next. Yeah, I feel like Telemachus, even in just these 4 chapters, has developed a bit. Well, definitely he has, because he's gone from, well, being able to stand up to the suitors at all, to standing up to them, and leaving to Pylos, and to Sparta. Telemachus definitely developed. I don't know what else to say other than what I've already said. Yeah, I can't wait for book 5. I can't wait to see Odysseus, because it is the Odyssey. So I think we're finished with the telemachus now. Like, that's what I'm calling the first 4 chapters. I think we're finished with the telemachus. I hope there will be more telemachus, to be honest. But I probably shouldn't be skipping through. But yeah, next time we're gonna read about Odysseus. Goodbye.